It's the Peet Reet Show, and we are here at the Greg Frewin Theater in Niagara Falls with our special guest, Mr. Greg Frewin. Thanks so much for coming.
Well, thank you both for being here.
Oh, yeah, it's great. What do you mean, both?
Well,
I'm right here. You didn't even introduce me, Rita.
What do you mean you're here?
he's right there. I made him invisible before the show.
Shut up.
He's right
No,
there.
I know you're
Feel
great,
that, Rita?
but...
Rita,
Well-
watch, feel this?
Yes!
Well, careful where you look. His face is up there. I don't know where you're
I
looking.
don't know where to look. What the hell?
Now here, I'll tell you what happened, Rita. I'm backstage with Greg talking before we came out here for the show, and I said I really didn't believe in magic, and he said a few magic words, and here I am. Well, sort of, anyways.
Yeah, sort
trick,
of,
right?
not at all. Wait, what the? Keep your hands to yourself, mister. What the? You really made him invisible.
Well, and you know, he looks good, doesn't he? I have to admit.
He looks much thinner.
Hey, I'm still sitting here.
What the heck?
Well, now keep it down. I told him to keep it down.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're freaking me out. It's like The Invisible Man, the movie. You know, remember
Oh,
that?
yes, I remember
Feels
that.
kind of weird, actually.
Okay, it's very creepy, very creepy. Okay, I'm gonna go now because I'm really freaked out, and maybe Pete will come back.
I'm hoping I come back.
Well-
Greg, you're gonna bring me back?
We'll see. If he's good, I'll bring him back. How about that?
Okay, yeah,
I'll be
please
very
do,
good.
because that's just too weird.
That is weird.
On the Peet and Reet Show.
I'm not smiling. I'm just kind of...
It's Pete and Reet here, and oh my gosh, Pete, you're back.
Yeah,
Can you believe it?
Don't challenge me though.
I mean, I say I believe it now, Greg. I believe it now. I mean,
He
I'm just
can
making
do
sure I got
anything.
everything, right?
Well, you can check later and make sure you have everything.
Not in front of me though, okay? Just saying.
That's okay. So here we sit with the now unbelievable, amazing Greg Frewin at the Frewin Theater, this is an outstanding venue.
Well, thank you.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, we've been here 11 years, and it's really become home. You know, I grew up close to here in Stony Creek, so it was great to be able to come back home after being on the road for, well, close to 25 years. So
Wow.
nice to be home.
Now, when I first saw this gentleman,
Yeah.
I was in Vegas at the Tropicana.
That's correct.
And I had no idea he was Canadian. And me and my wife were sitting up front, and you did the most spectacular show. And this guy's amazing. And then we found out you were Canadian.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of people, when I was in Vegas, not that, but most times they don't introduce where you're from or what your history or background is. But I spent 8 years there, and I got to learn a lot about the business, about show business, theater. So it was a really great experience. But, you know, my wife and I decided, you know, it wasn't really our town. We liked it, but it's not where we didn't want to raise our family there. So we were able to come back here to Niagara Falls and open up the theater.
How did you end up in Vegas in the first place? How did
You know,
that all come about?
We ran out of gas. We were in this town. No. I actually went into, many years back, I went into a big major magic competition. And in these competitions, like the gymnastic competitions and whatnot, there's people from all around the world that compete, but also the agents from all around the world, different booking agents and agents from Vegas to Japan to Europe. And so I went into the competition and I took first place, and one of the first Canadians to ever do that, which allowed me to open the doors to a lot of things that I probably would have taken a lot more years to get to. So Vegas was a very quick step for me.
Now, how did we get into magic in the first place?
Well, my grandfather he was kind of an amateur magician, did little coin tricks, card tricks and stuff. He took me to see Doug Henning when I was 12.
Oh, he was amazing.
Yeah, and I had done some magic at that point, had a few magic kits and a couple books on magic, but that was the day. when I went to see Doug Henning, Hummingbird Theater. I can remember everything about the show. And at the end of the show, he said to me, we'll go backstage and we'll meet him. So we went around the backstage door, and I was really excited. Thought I was going to meet Doug Henning. And of course, he never came out.
Well, he actually was
But
there.
I
You
didn't
didn't see him,
Yeah, he
remember?
was. I did. Yeah, he was invisible. Like, I didn't know my powers back then. So I got to meet him years later. But that was the night that I really thought, this is what I want to do. And of course, I told my parents that. And of course, they looked at me like, what? Are you kidding? You're going to be a magician? So,
Now, did you ever get
Go
a
to
magic
school.
kit? Because I got a magic kit.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
love
I
magic
think
too.
every kid
You know, the
does.
one with the squeezy
Yep.
sponge balls and stuff, and
The
wand that
wand.
never worked. I could
Well-
never make anybody disappear. My
The
brother's
one that the
sisters
flower
always-
came out of?
You tried your hardest. Come on. Yeah, no, I did. I had some magic kits. I remember the one. Do you remember the one on TV, the money magic kit?
Yes, I do.
And I remember watching the commercial, and they would take the piece of white paper and they would put it in those little rollers, and when they rolled it out, money came out, and I went, oh well, this is my craft. I need to learn this. So
lots
I
of
got that magic kit for Christmas, and of course that was the first thing. I opened it up, and I thought, because I was watching the commercial, you just stick the bill in there and it would work. And of course I did, and it didn't work because I didn't know how the trick was yet or how it worked. But with some practice, that was one of the first tricks I learned from the magic kit, and that's sort of where it all started. So maybe it was money that got me interested.
Yeah, I think especially when you can make it appear.
Well,
like that,
Yeah,
right?
no kidding.
Trust me, in this business, that's the last thing you worry about is money, because boy, oh boy, it's a long road to get to that point.
Do you have kids come up and go, oh, I love magic, and they want to learn, and what advice would you give to them if they want to do what you're doing?
Well, the good thing now, but it can be a bad thing, the good thing now is it's a lot more accessible than it was when I was a kid. When I was a kid, you had to go to the bookstore or the magic shop to get books and
Yeah.
information on magic. We didn't have the internet. We couldn't just go Google magic tricks. Kids can now learn magic pretty easy via the internet. Some basic magic tricks are out there. The problem is, I think, for me, it was that wanting to learn and not being able to get the information as easy made it more, when I was able to learn about a trick, it was more important to me. So I'm not sure how kids are these days. They see it and it's easy, accessible, and then boom, they're on to the next thing. But they have a lot of good sources now for good magic.
I don't think they even got the mindset to sit, because it takes a lot of time
Yeah.
and repetition, right?
Yes.
And I don't think our younger generation. I was just here. You just had a show here with kids from school.
That's
which
right.
was amazing, and they had great questions. But then you can see they just don't have the focus.
Well, I think it's like anything. In life, when you're young, there's something that catches your eye, whether it be like my daughter, she's into horseback riding now, and she does dressage horseback riding. She's at a competition level now, and that's her life. That's her focus. That's her vision. And so, maybe magic's not a lot of people's vision or a lot of kids' visions. We pick it up as kids, and about, I'd say 3 or 4% of kids really latch onto it after that.
Yeah, and I love magic, and
Yeah.
I used
it
to.
takes you away.
I used to amaze my kids with tricks, and all I used to do was I'd take the card, stick it under, I knew what that card was, and they'd go, pick the card, Dad, and they go, oh my gosh, Dad, that's amazing.
Awesome. It's
Well, and the great thing about magic is it transcends any language barrier, age. It doesn't have an age limit. There's no, and because of the visual side of magic, it does give us that sensibility of being able to dream. We think about levitating a woman or disappearing, different things and stuff like that. So it is a neat art form that way.
Yeah.
Do you ever levitate your wife? Just
She used to
That's a
be in the
personal
show.
question.
Well, back to those questions
no,
again.
maybe you do it at home for practice. I don't know.
She used to be my assistant actually in the show, and then she decided when we came here to open the theater, at some point there was more work out front of the show itself. So she now is sort of behind the scenes, looking after things like the books, making sure the money doesn't disappear. It's usually when I'm involved, right? The money's gone. So she
Buying
used, but
toys.
she's now retired from it. So we talk about it every once in a while. I keep saying, "Hey, do you ever want to come back on stage?" And she's like, "Nah, I've been there, done that." So for her, it's sort of a thing of the past.
All right. It's the Peet Reet Show here with Greg Frewin, and we will be back in a minute.
It's Peet Reet, and we want to tell you about our newest edition sponsor to the Peet Reet Show. So proud to have them on
Oh,
board
no kidding. The Niagara Institute of Music and Arts.
in Niagara Falls, and one of the finest schools for music education, really, because when you look at who's at the top of this whole thing,
Oh my gosh, Mr. Rick Rose, Sony recording artist, singer-songwriter.
yeah.
He's done it all.
Yeah, so if you want to be led by somebody who knows what he's doing, and actually he's got some great stuff that's going to be coming out in the near future.
Yes.
He's going to be doing some stuff, and you probably learn. But anyways, go to NIOMA@hotmail.com. That's NIOMA@hotmail.com. and get all the information on Niagara Institute of Music and Arts. Welcome! International Grand Champion of Magic, Greg Frewin. We sit here at your theater. I got a question for you.
Sure.
I mean, I know it is now, but is magic real?
Yeah, it is real. It's the moment when we can do something on stage, and for that little moment of time, you forget all your worries and all your problems. So in my view, it is real. The minute I can take, whether it be a family, a couple's had maybe a hard day, or whatever's happening in their lives that happens in our everyday lives, if we can take them away from that just for a small period of time, then it's magic.
Now, you've been on many TV programs, NBC, ABC, Fox, all those. What's harder to do, on stage, live in front of people, or TV?
TV makes me nervous. No, I'm you know, actually, well, they're both different. And I wouldn't say one's harder than the other. But the thing with TV is people now, especially, they can rewind.
Yeah.
You know, they can pause, rewind. It was harder back in my day. When I would watch Doug Henning on TV or David Copperfield, we didn't have VCRs even back then. They were, you know, so we had to watch it live. It was like watching it live. Now we have to be a little more wise to how we film things and what we do on TV because of that, right?
Yeah.
So, but other than that, I do enjoy TV. It's like Christmas. I always look at it as like Christmas. I have to wait to see the final product. Yeah. So it's kind of like getting a Christmas gift. And when I see it on TV, I go, wow, because I don't know how it looks. I don't know what the filming looks like. I just know there's cameras out there, and I get that moment of excitement, and then I got to wait to see the final result. So it's pretty cool.
Do you like watching yourself? Because we don't.
No, we don't.
Well, here's the thing. I do and I don't. Yes, it is funny to watch yourself the first time, especially. You see yourself and go, that's not me.
Yeah.
Who stepped in and did my But, you know, as a magic or a magician, what's really interesting is I don't get to see the perspective of what the illusion looks like.
Yeah.
So it's not like when I'm just standing there, if I was just standing talking or like an interview like this, that is the weird time. Because I look at it and I go, ooh, you know, it's kind of different to see yourself.
Yeah.
But when I'm doing an illusion, it's really amazing to see what the audience sees now. I get a perspective of what their view is of what the show is. So I think it's pretty cool.
Now, one of my favorite places to go, because I'm a magic nut, okay? And you know I've been to your show.
That's right.
The Magic Castle.
Oh, yes.
I got to go in a couple of years ago when I was there. Now, that's phenomenal. Yeah,
and it's a really exclusive
I know,
club.
and I
you
got
don't
to
just
go
get
in.
to go in.
Yeah, so
How did you get in then?
Well, it was a magician I knew.
He disappeared just like we did earlier. And then
I was invisible.
Yeah,
Walked
it's
in.
invisible.
There you
But
go.
you know what? What a feeling to walk in there, though. It was amazing.
Well, I was just actually 3 weeks ago. I was in LA, and I was at the Magic Castle banquet, and they honored me with a Performing Fellowship Award, which is a really big honor. The only other Canadian to ever win that was Doug Henning. So going back to my childhood, I was just like amazed that I was given an award of that level. It's only been given out 40 times, so that was really cool. I mean, to be able to be honored by one of the biggest magic fraternities in the world. Yeah,
And they're tough, too.
You're very tough. You have to
Explain how you got to get your membership, because you got to go in there and perform.
You
right?
do. You have to go through to get a membership. It's not just hey, I can just buy a membership or whatever. Yes, you have to go through certain levels and criterias to be able to be eligible enough to be able to be a member, and then to be able to get an award is a whole different thing.
Yeah.
So.
And you've got a ton of awards, man.
Yeah.
I've gotten a few. You know, some of them are more exciting than others. For the fact, for example, this one. It wasn't like going into a magic competition where I knew I was going in against other magicians and I had to perform a certain routine. This was just an award they gave me and presented to me for my work and what I've done with this theater and with my career.
Fantastic.
So it was kind of unexpected,
Good for you.
and so it was really, really, really cool. I was super excited.
Where's the most interesting place you've ever done an illusion?
Wow. Well, I never had that question before.
So it's a good question.
I was gonna say, can I answer that? That might be. No, you know, there's been a lot of really cool shows that I've done over the years. I think probably one of my favorites. I got to perform at the Princess Grace Theater in Monte Carlo.
Oh, wow.
And we were doing the ABC TV show, Champions of Magic, and Prince Rainier and Princess Stephanie were there.
Yeah.
So not only was it a special theater to be in, but there was royalty in the house. So
How old were you then?
I was about 25, 26,
That's
somewhere
incredible.
in that area.
Oh, yeah.
A few years ago.
Yeah.
Just a few.
Not too many.
Yeah.
Just a few. So that was pretty exciting because once again, not only was it such a special theater, but you know, And it's amazing to be amongst royalty because that was my first time.
Yeah.
You know.
Did you have to bow and all do all
Well,
that stuff?
you know, there's, you know, they got their Secret Service guys or whatever they're called over, and I don't know what their name's there, but you know,
James Bond.
yeah, James Bond. So it was definitely interesting, you know. But they were very gracious. We went and had dinner after the show that night.
What'd you
a
have
big
for
group of
dinner? Just
magicians.
curious.
I can't even remember. It was years ago. Remember I said it when I was
Yeah.
25,
Oh,
26.
so you didn't care. You just had a few drinks.
Oh,
and
I
that
was
dinner.
super excited. You know what? And then you're also nervous because the whole time you're wondering if the prince or princess is looking at you or you know.
Yeah.
So you're kind of like this the whole time, but it was pretty exciting.
Now you also won FISM.
FISM.
Let me see if I can
Yes,
get
you've
that's a
done your
big one.
homework.
That's a big one. Now let's
FISM.
see. I say it right.
See if you get it.
Federation Internationale Société Magique. But that's
You got it.
That's in the French, right?
That's right,
Well,
right.
my French.
That's right. Your French is almost there.
Bonjour.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that's the World Championships of Magic, and that happens every 3 years, and they hold it in a different country each time. And magicians come from all over the world. It's it's like the Championships of Magic, the big one. And the year I went in and competed, there's different categories: close-up magic, comedy magic, stage illusion, and there's general magic on stage, which is the biggest category. It's sort of like opens to many different types of magic. And I entered in the general magic category, and I took first place, and it was very exciting because I was the first Canadian to ever do that. Not only that, once again, it opens the doors to so many different agents and whatnot. So it was pretty exciting.
Well, we're going to come back with Peet Reet and Greg Frewin and do some magic.
Oh boy, some magic. I've already felt some magic. Hope that's me this time.
Have you taken the 40-gallon challenge? Take your pledge to conserve water. The 40-gallon challenge is a call to reduce water usage and encourages people to adopt new water-saving techniques. Drought, population growth, and increasing water demands have put stress on our water supply. Reducing water usage not only saves this precious resource, but saves you money too. To find out how to save 40 gallons of water a day, visit your local UGA Cooperative Extension office or www.40gallonchallenge.org today.
Welcome back to Peet and Reet and Greg Frewin, and you know he wants to do some more magic, and I'm a little leery.
let him.
I'm a little leery right now. I'm not going to
Well,
disappear.
all right, I know you've been invisible now, so you think this is old school, whatever. But how about I kind of teach you how to do a trick?
Sure.
Well,
Yeah.
here's what I'll do. Is basically I'll show you this. It's real simple. All you need to do is get a piece of cardboard. On the first side, you're going to put 1 black spot. On the second side, you put 4 black spots. On the third side, 3 black spots. And the fourth side, 6 black spots. Pretty cool, eh?
Okay.
All right, well, you know, it is easy. So there are beginner magic tricks. This is one of them.
Okay.
Real simple, and you can try this at home. Just get a piece of cardboard. On the first side, you actually only put 5 spots. Yeah. See, so now look. If you cover your hand like this, when you say 6, people assume that there are 6 spots. But if you put your hand on this side, it now looks like there's 4. Pretty cool, right? Now the other side's almost the same. Look, you put 2 spots just like this. Cover your hand like that. It looks like 3. Put it over here. It now looks like 1. Pretty cool, right? All right, now let me show you again the routine, because sometimes people, they forget the routine part. They learn the trick, and that's in their head,
Yeah.
and they screw it up. You don't want that to happen. So
Okay.
you cover up the first spot. Don't
Right.
let anyone know it's there. That's the secret.
Okay.
Start by saying there's 1 spot on the first side, 4 on the second side, 3 on the third side, and 6 on the fourth side. But let me give you one small warning if you go home and you actually try this trick. See, I do as many as 600 performances a year.
Wow.
Well, no, it's not that impressive. All it means is a lot of people know how to do the trick. You might
I'm
get to
still
this,
not catching it.
yeah, and you might get to
I'm
this
like,
part, and
what?
someone actually may say, "Move your hand."
Move your hand.
Thank you. Sometimes it takes a while. There you go. But if that ever does happen to you, just snap your fingers, show the 6 spots on that side, the 3 spots there, but never let them see the 8 spots on that side. That's the part that'll really get them.
man.
Yeah, kind of cool, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's insane.
I see you home tonight with some cardboard going, what the
Yeah.
hell? I don't remember.
Where'd the spots go? My hand's supposed to start here.
Unbelievable. You know what? I love magic. I love close-up magic. I had a friend of mine who was, he was a ventriloquist and a magician.
Okay.
But he used to do a trick, and to this day, I don't know. He used to hold his hand here and go like this, and make me go like this, and I would have the coin in my hand.
Yeah.
I have no idea how he got it in there,
Yeah.
but it was amazing. It was truly amazing.
Well, and you know, the great thing about magic is, and pretty well if you ask anybody this, at some point in their life, they've met a magician that has done something, or they've seen a magician that's done something that they remember.
Yeah.
And they can remember how that feeling in that moment was. And that comes back to earlier when you said, is it real magic? Well, yeah, you know, if you can remember and that feeling and that moment or that emotion for that many years, it's nothing but magic, right?
My youngest son used to take a deck of cards, and he'd take it out of the box, and then he'd make me fold a card and put it back somewhere in the middle, and then he'd go like that, and it would be on the top, and I would go, like, how did that happen?
Tape, yeah,
It
tape
just
on it.
Yeah,
freaked me out.
tape, yeah, tape. It's always tape, right? Tape and trap doors. That's how it's all done. Yeah, and you know what's also great about magic, which we find in our industry, is when certain young people get into it, and it really, really helps them in their day-to-day life. Because there's a lot of kids that are quiet, or they're shy, or they don't come out of their shell, they don't know how to interact with people. The great thing about magic at a young age, for some kids, is it lets them forget about that and become this little performer. So they may not do big magic shows out on the Vegas Strip, but even those moments of just doing a little card trick for mom and dad and their friends allows them to get better with dealing with people.
See,
So it's pretty cool.
I loved it with my kids because I used to. I mean, the minimum magic
You
that I
freak 'em
knew,
out?
but no, they loved it. They were like, "Dad, I can't believe what you just did."
That was like Superman for the moment, right?
The only time. And then they grew up and went,
Did you?
"Dad."
Yeah, forget it, Dad. Did you do tricks with your?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Got to the point in our household, it was like, oh no, here comes another trick again. But my parents were very supportive. My grandmother was very supportive because my grandfather did little tricks and that. And of course, I would go over to their house. That's the guy I wanted to fool.
Yeah.
Was Grandpa, right? Because he's the one.
he was the guy.
You knew
Right.
it.
He's the guy that. So if I could fool Grandpa, of course. He always would play the, very good, very good. You know, he wasn't unsupportive, but he never let me know that it maybe fooled him as much as it did.
Right.
But my grandmother was great. She was the best audience ever. Because I really do believe she was so fooled and she just loved it. So, that I remember those moments, and that's kind of what gets you coming back, right?
Now, what about somebody like the amazing Kreskin, who we've had on our show?
He's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole different genre of, it's not even really magic. It's something that I don't even really understand that well. But
He does do some magic in there, though,
yeah,
right?
and he's been to the theater here, and I'll tell you, what I really like about Kreskin is not only is he a super nice guy, but the key important thing, he's a showman.
Yeah.
And a lot of people forget that. In this business, we get magicians that come in and think it's all about the trick, it's all about the magic. That's important. But that's just our vehicle to what we do. In other words, if you're a comedian, you tell jokes. If you're a singer, you sing. But that's your vehicle for your performance. And that magicians sometimes forget there's more to the whole circle of that performance than just the magic trick.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Are you going to maybe write a book about it? Maybe a
Yeah,
magician's book?
I don't know. I've never been one of those. I don't know. I would say at this point it's not in the plans. But I do build a lot of my own illusions, and I actually build for other magicians. So I really enjoy that part of the craft, to be able
You've
to.
got a big shop, right?
I do. I have 1,500 square feet shop at my home, and I do most of the fabrication that you see in our show. So it really allows me to design, create, and be a very big part of what goes on stage.
So now, how do you come up with an illusion?
Well, it's kind of like this in a way. Sometimes, and this is the weirdest thing, it's been only a few times in my life I've actually had dreams where I dream something, and then I get up and I go, and I'll write it down because I'll forget if I don't. It's in that moment. But a lot of times it's just more of I'll see something or I'll feel something and I'll go, wouldn't it be cool if? It's always that if. If I could do this. Then we have to backward engineer that and figure out how can we make that happen. For example, when I made you invisible, I had to think, well, how would I do
Yeah,
that?
I still haven't figured that one out. I don't even know where I was. I thought I was here and I wasn't.
Sometimes
right.
I wish I was invisible.
Right, but the idea is just we don't think of method first or how to do it first. We just think of fantasy first, like a movie. You're shooting a movie and you wanted to do something in that movie, have a special effect happen. Well, you don't think about, oh, I could do the special effect and then what can I do? You think about what will be cool visually to see happen. So that's usually where we start, and then we have to re-engineer it all and figure it out,
And then when you add
make
the
it look
music,
seamless.
you add the music to it, 'cause it's got to be the right
A whole
music.
different
to make
realm.
it live,
Sure.
right? And
You know,
the
there's
showmanship.
you got to figure out the mood. That's the theater part.
Yeah.
That's the theatrical part. Trying to decide mood, effect with the lighting, the sound, and then also the communication to the audience, whether it be verbal or visual. Because there's a lot of times music's playing during the illusions, and we have to portray that idea to
Right.
the audience. And you remember, some of the stage illusions are very big, and that makes us very small. And so the hard part is to be able to overpower the size of that illusion as a performer.
Yeah, and also, you're ad-libbing out there. I've seen you doing your
Yeah.
show and talking to people, and people are hitting you back and
That's
forth.
right.
So
Yeah.
that's showmanship. That's what makes the show
Absolutely.
warm and
That's
wonderful.
years of doing kids' birthday parties. That 'cause the kids, I tell you, they're the best and the worst audiences. The best to learn from because they'll tell you anything. There's no barrier. There's no filter.
Yeah. Oh,
You're
yeah.
doing a magic trick and they see something and they're like, "Hey!" They'll point it right
I
out.
saw you
right?
do that.
Yeah, it's behind your hand. You know. And
We're
of
gonna-
course, Mom's over in the corner going, "Shh." But
More with Greg Frewin in a moment on the Peet Reet Show.
Copy and paste. There's a lot of hidden dangers out there in cyberspace. Never put your personal information online unless you ask your parents and they say that it's fine. Before you log on, don't be hasty. Please be smart with online safety. Stop and think before your connection. Use these steps for your protection. Online safety.
Stop. Think.
Connect.
It's Peet Reet here with Greg Frewin, and you know what? I just want to know what's the most amazing person you maybe met through your career? Maybe a star or whoever, a magician, maybe whatever.
oh, that's a great question. There's been a few. In the magic community, there's a gentleman named Lance Burton, who, as I grew up and got into magic more serious, I sort of idolized. I'd watch him on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson.
Yeah.
I think he did
Yeah.
well over 10 or 12 episodes of The Tonight Show. And I just loved his style of magic was what I wanted to do. So I grew up really idolizing Lance Burton. And when I got to meet him the first time, I was in Vegas. I was about 22 years old. I went up to get his autograph. He was signing autographs after. And I always heard this stigma of like performers being not nice or
Yeah.
maybe, So I didn't want to say, hey, I'm a magician and,
Yeah, and you go, yeah,
because
I've
I didn't
heard that
know whatever.
before.
So I was up in line. I was with another magician friend and his wife was there. And as I was getting the autograph, I had just won the IBM International Brotherhood of Magicians competition. And they give out a gold medal, which has only been given out 8 times in their history. I was one of them and Lance was one of them. And so that was also an honor when I got that award because I always idolized him. But as I got up in line, they pointed and said, "He's the guy that won the gold medal." And I went, "Oh no, here we go," right?
Yeah.
And he was the most gracious guy. He took us
I know.
backstage. We hung out for a few hours, chatted about magic. And then I also met, many years later, I was on one of the NBC World's Greatest Magic shows. And the host for that night was John Ritter. And I grew up
Amazing
watching
John
Three's
Ritter.
Company.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Yeah.
I loved
his comedy, his sense of timing, and that was just brilliant. So I watched him as a kid for forever. And he was the host. And once again, kind of the same thing. I'm thinking, okay, he's a big celebrity, been in movies and stuff, and really super nice guy. And it taught me something very valuable, especially with younger people. We have a very big job that we do, not just on stage, but off stage.
Yeah.
And so those two really stick out in my mind because I just idolized them so much, and I didn't think they were going to be that down to earth and that cool.
Well, it's a responsibility, right? When you take,
Sure,
when you take on a job
absolutely.
like this and you're in the limelight, you're an entertainer, you're on TV, it's your responsibility to go out there and give back because
right.
They
made
put you there.
Well, and when we talk earlier about that moment, if it's real magic and that moment they think and believe it is, the minute that we aren't that person, that magic goes away,
Yeah.
right? It isn't
Exactly.
magic anymore.
Yes.
It's not an art form. It's not something that should be taken serious. It's just a job.
Then they're
So-
going, what an
Yeah.
ass.
Yeah, well, that guy, geez. So, I try my best to follow suit with those guys because once again, it really meant a lot to me growing up.
We should ask Jay Leno when he was on our show a few weeks ago why he never had magicians on because you would have been on there
He had
for
a
sure.
few, but I don't think he was more into the stand-up comedy, and
Yeah.
I think Jay, he understood that world a lot better than the magic world. Where Johnny Carson was kind of the opposite. Johnny was the
Loved
biggest
it.
magic fan.
Yeah.
And the great thing about Johnny Carson was if you could be on his show, and I know a few people that had worked and been on the show with him, if you could fool him, his reaction was the best. Because I remember Michael Lamar doing a trick with Johnny, and Johnny was sitting at the table, and he did a trick, and he made the ball vanish. And Johnny's face was like, it was priceless. And he loved it.
Well, that's what Kreskin said. That's why he had Kreskin
That's
on
right.
over and
Over
over
and
and
over.
over again
Exactly.
because
Oh,
he
yeah.
just absolutely amazed him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think Jay just didn't understand magic the way that Johnny did.
Yeah.
Wasn't his
Growing
forte.
up, some of your favorite shows.
Oh, TV shows?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, there was several. Magnum PI. I wanted to be. I thought that would
I
be.
wasn't going to be a magician. It was going to
Sure,
be
Magnum PI.
I thought you could just move to Hawaii and just
You just need the mustache.
Just get the mustache and the beard, pencil it in if I had to, right? But I did. I would watch that show and I'd fantasize. Like, I honestly, I guess a lot of people did.
Yeah. What a
I thought,
cool
how cool would
life,
that
eh?
be, just to live in some guy's basement of this mansion and you know, and then I realized when I got older that doesn't really happen. So
Did you like Bewitched?
I did like Bewitched. I was very young actually when Bewitched
Yeah.
was out. I do remember that show and Leave It to Beaver.
Yes.
Always, that was my show when I'd come home. The Flintstones and Leave It
Yes.
to Beaver at lunchtime.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
Every
Now, was
day.
TV better back then? Because we think it was.
I think so. I mean, look. I mean, kids are going to say that probably 30, 40 years from now.
But they're watching this stuff now, too.
Yeah, and you know what? I think back then TV was different from the sense of, you know, when you look at shows like that, Three's Company, you know, Leave It to Beaver, these shows, they were more, I want to say real. There wasn't the, I don't want to say laugh track, but it just was different. There was a different.
And they each had their own reality. They weren't
That's
trying
right.
to copy somebody
Yeah.
else.
Right.
That show was individually what it was,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and I think it was a whole new world too, right? Because
Yeah.
TV was so new. So,
Even
yeah.
Batman. Batman was great.
Oh,
Oh,
come
yeah.
on, and the
Climbing
kabam, boom,
the-
bam.
Climbing the wall?
Jeez, now you watch it now. You know, when I was in Japan years ago, in Japan, they have a station every day that every day plays a couple different older shows from America. And I remember growing up as a kid watching Beretta, and I hadn't seen it in years. And of course, Beretta comes on TV, and I went, "Wow, this is." I mean, it's, you know, because the technology was a little different, but still
Yeah.
a great show, right?
Oh,
Yeah, some of them still stand the test of
Yeah, they-
time.
yeah, they do.
And the other ones you go, yeah, I can see the difference now. But
Yeah,
yeah.
I still will flip them
It-
on, still watch them.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, it's good quality entertainment.
Oh, for sure. And same with cartoons. I mean, you mentioned the Flintstones.
yes.
Flintstones was awesome. But one of my favorites was the Roadrunner.
Oh,
you know?
yeah, yeah.
And then they drop an anvil on them. And, you know, nowadays that would be considered violent.
Violent. Well,
I thought it was
and
great.
You know, and cruelty. Think about this. Like Fred Flintstone would run through that living room, and the same lamp would keep going by.
I saw that too. I
And
said,
I'm going, man, that guy.
Mom, why is that? They have the same lamp all the way down that corridor. But you know what? It was fun. We had a great
Yeah.
time, and I think because you know what, we didn't come in until the street lights
That's right.
came on, right?
That's right.
And we knew what shows were on what night. Kids don't have advantage now because you got 600-700 shows to choose from every night.
Sure,
right?
it's so different. They're so over. I think there's so many things with Netflix. I mean, they're all great avenues, but when we were kids, you're right. We were outside until the streetlights came on. We came in. Disney Channel, remember? Not
Oh.
Channel, but sorry, the Wonderful World of
Yeah,
Disney.
Disney,
yeah.
Hockey night in Canada. These were big moments in our lives,
Yeah.
right? You know?
And it made you get away from everything,
That's
just
right.
like what you do
That's right.
in the theater
That's
in front
right.
of everybody.
That's why Walt was such a brilliant man, if you think about it.
He
I mean,
was.
really, eh?
Oh,
Yeah. But you were
Scary
right into your living room,
Yeah.
and
That's
you
right.
didn't miss it. You were there. So now, what's it like here now? Young people are in here.
Yeah, you know, this has been really fun for me. You know, one of the great things about this theater, being able to have a theater that's my own, is in some ways it's scary, but I call the shots.
Yeah.
I want to change something in the show. I don't got to go to a producer. I don't got to get permission. I don't have to. I just do it.
Yeah.
But that also comes with the responsibility of making sure it's good.
Yeah.
Because if I had a producer that said, "Yeah, go ahead and do it," it was kind of his responsibility. And if there was some, you know, trouble to be had by the
Blame it
owners,
on him.
That's right. So now it's a bigger responsibility, but it also allows me to be more free, more creative.
Well, you can grow too. When you
That's
make
right.
your own mistakes, you can grow. So you make the mistake, you correct
right.
it, and you get better.
Fix
at
it.
And you know that audience, those mistakes or those lessons are learned very fast because they will tell you when it's good or bad, like that.
Yeah.
There's no second guessing. They don't do it politely. Oh, let's applaud because we
Yeah.
have to.
no, yeah,
You know,
no. The
if they-
booze will start coming.
That's right. They paid good money to be here, and if they're, if the show's not to a certain level, they let you know. So there's that side of it. But that's what's the challenging. That's what I love because we get to be creative and then reap the rewards or not.
Well, that's the same as us here in this show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got told we're too old for the business, and we said, okay.
Never, never. Come on,
We'll be
28 is
doing
not
it.
too old. I thought.
I'm
Oh,
31.
thank you.
Oh, 31.
Yeah,
I'm
kids turn
sorry.
I'm
31.
taking the 28.
But it's nice to be able to create your own show,
Sure.
what you're doing, and what you love to do the way you like to do it, and then share it.
And it shows too, right? Because you're much more comfortable here
Yes.
than you probably would be doing something that you were told do it this way and do it that
Exactly.
way.
Don't say
and you
that.
walk off, and they go,
Yeah.
"You didn't do it that
Right.
way."
Yeah.
And really, in the end of the day, the most creative people in the world are the ones that take those advantages on their own, whether it be in performance or entertainment or in art and anything. Bands, music, right?
Before we let you go,
Oh,
I want to ask you one thing.
Uh-oh.
If you had to talk to the audience, whatever your audience is, could be little kids, could be anybody, and wanted to leave them with a message, what would you say?
wow, that's a big question. I mean, there'd be a lot of things. Really, in the end of the day, I think one of the things that I think that's important in life, no matter what you do, whether it be magic, comedy, you're a lawyer, whatever you do down the road, I think you just have to be honest to yourself, honest to other people, and treat people the way you expect to be treated. And I learned that from those two gentlemen we talked about earlier, Lance Burton and John Ritter. They were just so nice and so endearing that it changed my life. So I think that's important. I think whatever you do, do it to the best of your ability, but make sure you treat those people around you with respect.
And you know, it's so important because just that one thing that they did nice to you, those famous people,
Yes.
changes your life and puts you on a totally
That's
different
right.
path.
And who knows, you know, if say Lance was not a nice guy to me, maybe I wouldn't have gotten out of magic, but maybe it would have been different, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe
Talking
my
to somebody
whole-
else sitting here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now if they want more information on you and your show here, how do they do that?
They can go to our website, www.gregfrewintheater.com. And of course, that's spelled the Canadian way, R-E. Just putting that out there.
Because we are seen all over the world.
That's
Yes.
right. And of course, our YouTube channel, Greg Frewin Theater. We have a YouTube channel. We have we're on Facebook and on Instagram, so they can find us all over the web. And of course, they can call right here to our box office. All those numbers are on the web as well.
Well, thank you so much for stopping by.
Yeah,
We're
it was
so
wonderful.
proud
Thank
to have you
very
in Niagara
much.
doing
Actually,
a
I
great show.
appreciate you joining us.
World class, absolutely.
you.
World class show here in Niagara Falls.
Thank you very
Greg Frewin, thank you so much. And we'll see you all next time on the Peet Reet Show.